Hi and welcome back to Knights HQ podcast, brought to you by Maxwell Recruitment and Training. Maxwell provides labour hire and apprenticeships for the region's best manufacturing, mining services, engineering trades and construction work sites. Maxwell is currently recruiting the 2024 apprenticeship intake. So if you're a hardworking school leaver or an experienced in an industry already, you can register your interest now. Jump on the Maxwell website to give them a call. Now, I'm here with my co-host Matt Croker as always, but mate, today... well, what an episode.
Yeah, well, it was pretty special, and hello, Jay. But, we sort of mentioned it last week that we might be getting this fella on, and, I'm very excited to say that we got Paul Harragon, the Chief, on the podcast. How you going, Chief?
Never better. How are you, boys?
Very good.
Very good.
Exciting week, Chief. It always is in spirit of old Boys Day for the Newcastle Knights. How's all the celebrations planning out this week?
Yeah, no, it smells good.
Yeah.
Combined with... our two teams and their performance, it's really building up. There's a lot of excitement. We have on Friday we have the old boys luncheon, which is wonderful. And because the luncheon's on the same weekend as the game, all the guys are making the effort to get to the game. They're going to be at the luncheon. So we've got a great turnout. From 1992, I believe there's only one guy who couldn't get there out of the whole team. So
yeah, right.
Yeah, wow.
There's a good sign of respect and the way everyone feels about it. So that's exciting. And then, we're all back together again on the big game. Watching you guys do what you do.
Can I ask a question, right? You were usually man of the match in games. Who's man of the match of the old boys when you all get together? Who's one of the best that you haven't seen in a while and he really rips in? Who's one of the best?
Always lobs up and delivers. Yeah, there's probably a few men of the matches. But look, I think a lot of the guys on the committee that work, every month, making sure they enjoy themselves. And that's our stalwarts like Husey and Crowie and
areas,
and all the boys. They at the end of the show they love which is good. And it is because whether it's junior sport or any team, usually you find the calibre of the administration is involved with the success of it. And you know what? When it comes to old boys, or the term old boys, which is used throughout many sports, is from here. We started all that stuff. The term old boy is from what we started, and it's really, really great that it's grown so much. But I think there's a lot more growth in the old boys in the system and what we can do in the future. And there's plenty of plans afoot, but tradition is wonderful, isn't it?
Yeah, well, I think a great factor of the old boys is that even though I'm still very early in my playing career, and it's made evident that, Croaks, you're an old boy forever. Once you're a Knight, you're always a Knight. And even though I've only played sort of 40-odd games, it's very clear to me that I'll be an old boy for the Knights forever, which is a special thing to have.
No, it is. And when you break down, as they say, unpack things, and you go, what's the old boy thing about? Well, it's as simple as this. I'll walk into the room either on Friday or on Sunday there, and there'll be a face that I haven't seen for maybe 20 years. But that hard-earned and very aloof, it's very rare in life where you've been through something with someone, or we've created something with someone, and it's been so deep and a part of you that you shared that really unique view. There's not too many other people in the world that you've got it with. So you walk into the room, you see each other, and that little glint in the eye, that knowing that we know, and that respect and that shake or it turns into a hug, is a beautiful thing. It's rare in my life now. So to enjoy that again is really something special. So Old Boys Day is that on steroids. So.
Because like you said, you don't sort of get that in many other workforces, do you, Chief? That's why we're so lucky that with the sport we play, we get to go through the absolute depths with some of our best mates.
Mate, that's true. All true mates and great things that you do. It's usually because you've been through a really bad time with them, and you know that their character, the tougher it gets, the better it gets. These guys, they're not going to let you down. In fact, when it's tough, there's an inner giant in them that comes out even more. When the whites of the eyes are shown, when times are tough, they're the people that you gravitate to. And in life, we all have those in different ways. But, in this team, it's the same feeling.
Yeah. Oh, well, you might be able to touch on a few of those players in this quickfire quiz that we have for you, Joe.
Yeah, so Chief, what we're going to do is we're going to start with a few quickfire questions.
Yep.
Now, mate, you can elaborate if you'd like. You can give us one word, whatever you feel. So the first one here is hardest opponent you ever played against.
Oh, that's really hard. It's a tough question. Look, obviously I had running battles with Spud, Mark Carroll all the time. So for about 7 games there. I knew I'd wake up in the morning having a shower. I knew I was going to fight him. Not going to play him. We were going to fight.
Yeah.
And it happened 7 times in a row. It's just like eating a Tic Tac. we were going to have a knuckle.
Yeah.
So, and he never disappointed. He was a lunatic. I mean, he was talking to himself. He was doing, the rituals and all that stuff. And we played together side by side in Origin there for a few years. And I had a room with him for 1 year as well. So it's like sleeping with the enemy. Had one eye open.
Yeah.
But look, he never let you down. But mate, even that Manly team was really tough in that era.
Yeah.
We didn't. I think we lost about 13 games or 11 games in a row to them before we got him in the grand final. But little Jeff Tuvey,
little Tuvs,
mate, so small, beautiful blonde hair, little surfing. But mate, he was sticking his head where most guys don't stick their feet. I admired him. Yeah. But there was a guy of McDermott that played in England when we toured in 1994, and he was a tough guy.
Yeah.
And I remember he knocked Ciro out in a game again. He played for Wigan, and he was playing with Wigan at the time, and everyone was after him, into him for it.
Yeah.
And he held everyone off,
Yeah.
and he kept coming back, and then he got a big name for himself over in England. So if you go over there and you talk about this guy, they all know him, and he's on the media a bit. But
was it Barry McDermott?
Yeah, he's a tough guy.
Yeah, nice. Okay, mate. The most underrated teammate from your Knights career.
Well, when I say underrated, from the crowd, but not from with us.
Yeah,
We
of
had
course.
the people that we admired, like Robbie McCormack was our he was our dummy half.
Yep,
mate, loyal, tough, do everything that no one else wants to do. He was wonderful.
Yeah,
I used to love playing with Brad Godden. I thought he played for Australia.
Yeah,
great career, but still he was incredible. Other guys like that, there's a bloke called David Mullane, Bugsy Mullane.
Oh, Bugsy Mullane, yeah.
I played the first years in under 21s with him, and then the second half I got a couple of starts in first grade back in 88. But we played together from 21s to through to first grade. Gee whiz, I love playing with him.
Yeah.
And he could hit like there was no tomorrow.
Yeah.
He was amazing like that. Like Glennie Miller, there's a whole heap of guys that our coach Alan McMahon said the player that everyone else wants to play with includes being the player that's doing the things no one else wants to do. So I'm running decoys for you. No one gets any rap, but I'm doing it for you. I'm chasing the ball down from you. I'm covering you. I'm doing that stuff no one else knows.
Yeah.
But within the team unit,
they know it.
That's how we built. So we used to make sure that those guys that were doing all those little things were put on the pedestal. They won all our awards.
Gotcha.
And that's how you promote that type of concept or a feeling within a team. Is that you got to reward the guys who are doing but in other ones too, being positive. Like a shit saying it comes for everyone.
Yeah,
it's easy to get wrapped up, but don't you love being beside someone, even at work or on the footy field, that goes, "That's all right.
Yeah,
we can flip this.
Yeah,
we can do this. We've got it." It's just wonderful, isn't it? And so we used to praise those type of guys as well. So you want to be that player that everyone wants to gravitate to. So shit's hit the fan. What are we doing, Craig? You want to be one of those guys. What's the go?
Even in life, the walks of life. Yeah.
And the blokes that, they're not showing up on a stat sheet, but it doesn't matter to them at all. They're the blokes you want to align with because they're doing it for the right reasons and they're going to have your back no matter what.
Absolutely.
Mate, greatest Origin performance you've seen from an individual player. But I'm gonna put whilst you've been out there with them, and then what you've seen post retirement.
Was it 20 Origins you played, Chief? I sort of had a look at it. Yeah.
Look, Joey had a great game, great era there where he scored a whole heap of tries, and we had real dominance. And it was. For him to be an immortal, he had to have his period where he had to dominate at Origin. Otherwise, you just don't cut it. And he did. And I really admired the way he did that. When I was playing, Queensland, mate, Alfie always scared me. Because you can imagine you're fatigued beyond fatigue, and he's coming at. I don't know if he's going to chip over the top, whether he's going to grub it, whether he's going to dummy. So he was a handful. Another bloke, Michael Hancock, they used to call him Three Knees. He was on the wing, and as I said, you're highly fatigued, and he'd hit the ball up, and it's like it was 1,000 knees there, so you had to over budget. So every time he had the ball, it worried me. But greatest performances, I really admired on our team. Laurie, Daly, and Freddie to a slightly different degree, but we had really great winners and great mindset. And what I mean by that is in 1990, I think it was 94, we lost a game in our first game against Queensland when Mark Coyne scored a try in the last 19.
Miracle try.
Miracle try. Yeah.
And I was gutted because I'd give everything we got. We played better all game.
Yeah.
But as we're walking in the dressing rooms, I swear to you, a few of the guys started to flip it already. Don't worry about that. And it was really good for me as a young bloke to see how really brilliant minds think, or winning minds think. So Gus Gould gets hold of it, and we're in the dressing room, and I swear to you, within 15 minutes, he'd done this big talk. And the big talk is that, guys, we now have a new mantra, a new saying repeated over and over again, is that game, that was our game, right? But we had to play for the first time in Melbourne ever, and there was a massive crowd there, 87,000 people. It was a wonderful, huge occasion. But he said, we win in Melbourne, we'll win the series. Win in Melbourne, we win the series. And as a man, we all got up and pretty well shook hands, mentally washed that away within minutes of the game finishing, and concentrated on this mantra. We win in Melbourne, we win the series. And that's what we talked about. And talk about magic, it just happened to the T. It was amazing. So for me, it was a really great learning curve and Laurie and a lot of those guys, Ricky, they were all behind that. They were all really leading that. So to me, I admire that.
Yeah. Geez, that's
amazing.
Impressive, mate. Okay, we're going to make it a little bit light-hearted. What was the worst stunt you did as the Daredevil dudes back in the Footy Show era? Because there's some good ones.
Obviously, Johnsy stitched me up on the Vomitron, right? Rock control. And had a good. We had a big night before, and there's actually a good lead-up story to that one, which I won't tell on this platform, but. But that was a cracker, right? I vomited at the Saturday, which was good. Mate, we had some mad ones. We went on surf boats that we got thrown out of. I remember being on the Nepean River at Penrith there, and Chimpy Johns is on the back of these new sort of, you get towed behind the boats. They just come from America. And they actually go up in the air and hover about 10 metres.
Oh, like the parachute hovering thing?
It's a big white thing. They got banned straight up. He's up 10 foot in the air and he's fallen off. And he reckons he skidded on his testicles for about 25 metres. That's how fast he was going. It was mad. The producer's going, quick, stop. I got, on another occasion, I was on the back of a ski, or skiing. They made a ski, go over jumps and all that. They put me straight into a tree, nearly chopped me in half the branch. So the producer's gone, stop. Another classic was Fatty's hanging onto a parasailing thing on the beach. Wind's got it. Dragged him 200 metres, hanging on. His mouth was full of sand, his nose. It was unreal. There was so many, but it was always, even doing the anti ads and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah, I remember them.
They were a classic, and even a really tough one. We're doing a sumo, not so squeezy, get the truck. And Fatty had the big suit on, and we've pushed him out. He's fallen out, hit his head. He didn't do the show for about 3-4 months. He was cool.
Yeah, wow.
That's not so funny, but
it happened.
But it was good. And look, when Maddie come,
because that's when it shot. It got so big.
Because I'm with a mate I grew up with. And it just becomes so much fun. So the Daredevil Dudes was an integral part of it. But honestly, if I got started, I could rattle off about another 25.
Because I remember 9:30 on a Thursday night, and I was a young fella. I was like, you always knew it was going to be funny or something was going to happen. In that heyday, were the producers giving you a bit of time to know what was going to be happening that week, or were you going in cold and just seeing whatever they had? Or
no, I go down on Tuesday. We'd have a meeting, production meetings. We're looking for the week. But you got to put it in perspective, right? I was my nickname the Chief. You know why? Because I was shy. Right? You know that story. So So for me, it's always a struggle. I go, I'm the last bloke who should be here on TV, but you grow, you get into it. So at the start, I'm writing down notes and doing bits and pieces and put it on the desk. And Fatty just come up every week, get him, scrunch him up. He said, mate, back off. So I'm sitting there as a young bloke, and next to me, Meatloaf was sitting beside me. Because remember, for a while there, right, in the early days, it was like a variety show. The footy was a content of probably 25, 30%.
Yep.
So we'd have the comedian on, and then if there's any Hollywood actors coming in promoting the show, they'd come on for a talk.
Yeah.
You had like WWF wrestlers
Yeah,
come
I
on and
remember,
all that sort of stuff.
What was the Baywatch girl?
Pamela Anderson and all that.
Pamela Anderson. Yeah.
And but always have an actor, a band, like a hot band coming in. So, you know, I'm just there watching all that stuff, going, wow, that's amazing. Barnes is just playing. Watching him, and so it was incredible, the footy stuff, and then you throw in like a Daredevil dude or or all the other stuff we used to do. Yeah. It was just like a big variety show. It was really great. Yeah. So it was an awesome learning curve. What was the question again?
I was just saying, like, you know, the because every time you do something in the Daredevil dudes, or you do something like eating the chilies or whatever, you knew the next week they'd have to up it and keep upping it and keep upping it. And I thought, you know, where was the line, or where were you guys sitting around going, maybe we've taken it too far? You know what I mean?
And what about this one? You said a good one with the chilies, because one of the old sayings in TV is, don't go back to the well. If it's worked once, knock it off. But they couldn't help it with the chilies. We're going back to the well. So they got the bigger Tommy chilies. And it worked a treat.
Hey, Chief, I'm glad you mentioned before that the way you got your nickname was because you were shy, and we don't have to go through that story, but I thought of a question during the week that I had sort of all these moments from your career. You know, you captained Australia. It was one time, is that correct, against South Africa where you smoked them, and you made your Origin debut, and you were meant to be, you were this enforcer for your state. You were the leader of your teens town, and just all these things where you had to be the leader. Sorry, mate, my mic's messing up a bit. Was there ever a sense in your career where you thought it was almost like an imposter syndrome, where you thought you had to sort of be someone for reasons other than just being who you were, if that makes sense? Like you had to be the chief, I had to be this enforcer, or was it the way you were always growing up?
Yeah, no, that's a really good question. Leadership, I find these days, for the vernacular or the way people describe it, is very confusing. Leadership is a vastly... It's more complex than you think, but it's more simpler than you think. I never saw myself as a leader. I just was who I was. So as far as talking or doing anything extra, I didn't. I was just me. It's just me. So if a good leader cares, might see. So, are you okay? You good? I saw you. That's a leader. You good? No. So that person respects you from that, and away you go. But when I was a kid, I was the captain of the team, mainly because when you're a kid, it's like whoever's scoring the most tries, or you just that doesn't count. But so I was always confident on a football field. I walk across that line. That's my place. I think I feel comfortable. So yes, on the football field, it just come natural. Although I didn't talk too much. I just did what I did, but that grew to say when. About 17 or 18, when I really made my mind up that I really didn't have too much else going for me in my life. I wasn't great at too many other things. That rugby league was my go. And as a skinny 17-year-old kid who was really shy, I had this really big vision. I was sitting in the car on a Saturday night at the Lakes Ground, Lakes United there at Carl Oval, and I didn't have anyone to hang out with that night, and I was thinking, righto, what am I going to do? And all of a sudden this thing, I was visualising myself playing, and I just kept going. I kept going for hours and hours and hours. And out of that, I'd pretty well convinced myself that that's what I'm going to do. I made up like an affirmation that went with that, which I said from the day I made up my mind till it happened, that was my sort of guide and light when things got tough. And I ate and slept and changed from the person that I was then to the person that made it. Everything that couldn't come along that wasn't good for me got squeezed out, like pulling. And it was hard. It was like pulling a tooth out of your head, it had to go. But it changed me. And one of those things was, was that shyness. I just, on the field or off the field, I've got to change. So if I wanted something different, I've worked out I had to be different. So it was tougher than I thought. That journey wasn't easy. And if I thought, well, let's double it to make it a bit more realistic, it'd be much more than double. It'd be like it was ridiculous. I had trouble with injuries and all sorts of things. But I just find the power of when you start believing in yourself and you churn that ether over and over again, circumstances and people and things start to come in line with your real powerful thoughts, and then you just vibrate it, and it's like magic. It really is.
Sort of going off that, Chief, like, we've, met you a few times and done some work with you in the club here, and you've talked to the playing group a few times, and, everyone always says, mate, you're just the nicest guy, down to earth, really humble, make everyone feel so welcome. But you watch what you did on the footy field, and you're like, how did that bloke who's so nice and humbling and kind is going out there and inflicting that much damage on the opposition? What did you go through mentally before you'd play a game? Because, talking to you now and talking to you in the past, it just doesn't make sense that the bloke that I'm talking to is that nice, is out there doing that on the field. Was there anything that you sort of had to go through to get yourself ready for a game to be able to do what you did?
That's a good question. Yeah, no, I often think about it myself. A little bit, where now, there's an inner, I suppose, switch there where when that willpower that when you muster up, it's there, but it doesn't come out very much. So in normal life, I wouldn't get it, but in the football realms, in the positions that you are, it come out. So. Yeah, no, it's a good question. No, I didn't do anything. It was just there. But as I said, even with leaders, or you think you can't do stuff, but there's layers. There's layers on people.
Yeah.
And that layer just come off when I was playing football. But it makes you feel a bit better because Malcolm Reilly, right, who was our coach, and such a wonderful gentleman, English gentleman. His buttons done up. He's so polite. He was a lunatic too. So
Wouldn't he fight players or something? Did I hear that yarn? He's a boxer or something, wasn't he?
Yeah, no, he took on, I refereed that one. Steve Crow and him.
Oh, Crowy.
In Fort Mount, really?
Yeah, we had the NBN News team was there.
Yeah, right.
And it was gold. By the way, I've copped a stray one straight in the Barry Beef. I was just going, hit me in the hooter as well. You're going to be kidding. But no, I used to look at him and go, but he was different to me. He was like, he had this amazing skill level. He could chip over the top, recatch the ball, give someone an elbow, and knock them out and score.
Yeah.
Like he was like another level. But it just must be that, I don't know. It's just something that's there. But when it was my job as front rower and or captain to make sure that no one in my team was ever run rough shot. No one from the opposition was ever going to put anything over our boys or run rough shot over us or make us scared. So I could cop losing a game, but I couldn't cop losing a game by another team that out-physicaled us. That's not on. I could cop it if they're better skilled. I couldn't cop it if they wanted it more than us. Because that's something that we got control over.
Yeah.
But that was part of the job. So if someone was messing where they shouldn't be with one of us, I coined a saying, right? I coined a saying to the boys, and we used to say it, and I coined it in New South Wales as well, that if you pull the cat's tail, you get the whole cat, right? And the cat's pissed off because you pulled its tail. We're all connected. So I wanted to make sure the opposition knew that if you pull him, you're getting the big ugly bloke.
Gotcha.
And we're gonna eat you. So that's got to be known.
I just want to go back to the leadership sort of stuff, Chief, because leadership is everywhere. It's with the mother of 3 kids down the road. It's with the boss at the cafe. It's everywhere, right? And it comes in all different shapes and forms. And the way I see yours is very natural, and you lift people up, which I think is a great thing. But you played under a lot of great leaders, and who would have been some of the best that you sort of played off? And did you take much from them? Because you played under Mal, you played under Laurie and Freddie. Like, did you take much from those blokes?
Yeah, no, I did. But to be truthful, I really admired, and I got a lot out of Michael Hagan, who was my first real captain.
Yeah.
Here. He was articulate.
Yeah.
He was smart, very measured.
Yeah.
So when he said something, it was well thought.
Yep.
And when he engaged her, he looked at you, he recognised you. It's not just, mum. So I was really taken aback by that. And so when he said something, I really listened.
Yep.
And I remember another story is that we were playing at Cronulla, and I was so admiring of Hagues, is that we were playing Cronulla and a bloke called Les Davidson, who's a really tough guy, right?
Yeah.
I was just a young bloke playing up, and he started pushing Hagues and doing something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I've come in 100 miles an hour, and we're into it. Me and Les Davis toe to toe.
Yeah.
And then Blake is, after the game, Blake goes, "You just fought Les Davidson." He said, "What?" I said, "I didn't know. I just didn't know." Who
I just jumped in. Yeah.
I knew it was Les Davidson. I wouldn't have done it. But I said, I thought I only did it because of
Of
touch Hagues.
Yeah.
And Hagues goes, "Mate, don't do that again.
Yeah.
Don't do that." Because Hagues was so well measured. He said, "It's all right that you come in to look at it, but we got the penalty against us, and I'm really." Like, he's a really heady guy. He didn't get too emotional.
Yeah.
He just said, "No, it's more important that we keep the continuity of the game and keep going." Oh, yeah, no worries, but I'll be doing it again.
Yeah. Was Les Davidson Bundy?
Bundy,
Yeah, that's Bundy.
And let me say this: he is an awesome fellow,
Yeah.
and one that I really admired the way he played.
Yeah.
We were talking about earlier about the old boys and you guys getting together on Friday and the game on Sunday. Now I guess the vibe of the old boys, the sort of the subcategory of the umbrella of the old boys is the 92 side, and you said there's only one bloke that couldn't come, which is fantastic. That was a real breakout year for you. What are some of the fond memories you've got of that year and some of the blokes that you played with?
Yeah, no, it was a great year for me. A little sub story, I'll be quick. In 1990, that was the year that it was supposed to be where, back in those days, City Country, Origin, and you picked the Australian team. You played during the year in those days, then you played after as well. It all went pear-shaped, got to the state, got the Country Origin, got picked and all that sort of stuff, but injury.
Yeah.
And Bozo ringing me up saying, "Mate, get back on the field. The Kangaroo Tour's waiting. We still got you there." So I was busting myself.
Yeah.
And it all went pear-shaped. I tore my hamstring again, done my knee again, and then I had to get a back operation, they were saying. I won't be the same. It all metamorphosed this. And then it ate into the next year. Yeah. So in 1991, I didn't come back till really late. I got knocked out really bad my first game back. It was really tough.
Yeah.
But by the off-season of 1991, leading to 92, was the first time I was injury-free, ready to go. And then, boom, it all come.
Yeah.
City Country, 3 Origins, the Australian team in the middle of the year, we played England and got the tour at the end of the year. So 92 was the year. Remember when I was telling you when I was a kid, I was 17?
Yeah.
And I
that
waited.
was the year.
That's all the
information.
information.
It all come through. So it was a big year.
That's awesome, mate. Okay, we'll skip forward because I've always wanted to ask you this question of 1997, the night before the grand final.
Yep.
And this is another trait to your leadership trait where you got everyone into the hotel room. The story's been told a bit, but I've never heard you speak of it.
Penrith had done a similar thing, and they'd won the grand final not too long before, where I think Roy Simmons might have called him into his room. And
Back in 91,
and I was just really interested, but that was just subconscious in the back of my mind. It wasn't a conscious thing.
Yeah.
But I said to the boys, I want you to come to my room. And there was a bit of pullback. Mate, we've had enough meeting. Please let us go and all the rest of it. And I said, oh, yeah, fair enough. And then I said, no, come to the room. Everyone, this is what's going. We're going. They all come. It was really quiet. And because we're all nervous, we're all got the biggest thing in our life. Yeah. You could feel that it was good because we're all worried. We're all thinking the same thing, all this expectation.
Yeah.
And to verbalise it and then go, you know what, that's all there, but here's my reason that's bigger than any obstacle that's going to come in my way, and this is my story. So I started, and then everyone started one by one. Tears started flowing. All I remember is things like hearing the throng of the air conditioning. It was so quiet, just the Blake's, crying. And then the next Blake's telling his story, this is why I'm going to do it, and this is why I'm doing it. And I'm doing it for him as well, and I'm doing it for him. So we had this really eclectic, different points of view, but at the end of it, I'd never felt so exhilarated and liberated in my life. I felt to a man that there's no force going to knock us over. Yeah. I remember them all walking down the hallway along the thick carpet to go to their own rooms or to the elevator. I just knew that this thing is beyond the normal realms for us. It's not a footy game, and it was no longer a burden of expectation. It was actually a privilege. That this is what we do in our lives for a living, and we get to do on the biggest stage. And it was all about the people back here in Newcastle, because we went through a tough time to paint that picture. Right, we've just been through the worst time. Our bicentenary, there's nothing to celebrate. BHP's leaving, and the whole town's arguing with the Super League wars, and the two teams and all that stuff. It was mad, and all of a sudden we're in the biggest picture of our life. So that was a really, really powerful moment. And look, if you look at the game and the ebbs and flows, and we weren't in front until 5 seconds, the difference is that we just had this real calm in the moment sort of a feeling during all the game. I ever enjoyed before we went out. Usually when you're nervous, I didn't. We were all having the time of our lives. And it's all because we just felt like there was this over-controlling thing that was going to be behind us. And, okay, it was only 30 seconds ago and we got it.
Yeah.
But we got it.
What do you remember from the day? You know, like moments, like...
Well, I remember...
Because I rewatched the game just to speak to you about it. I remember Troy Fletcher. He had a stellar game off the bench.
No, he came off the bench and become a superstar.
Yeah.
The big goal.
He made some big runs in the
he made a line
second
break.
half. He made a couple of big runs to get us down there.
Mate, everyone done things beyond their normal realms that day. But I remember a lot of it. Even, as I said, you often find with the ideal performance state, if you're at breakfast before the game and you're talking to your mate, but you're only sort of going, you're half there and you're half thinking about the game, you're nervous. You find that's how you're going to be in the game tonight.
Yeah.
If you're not in the moment now, you won't be in the moment then. So all day, I was in the moment. We were laughing and giggling at breakfast. You know, in the dressing rooms, we've got the music on. The boys are doing the, mucking around dancing and carrying on. And I remember I went and flipped the coin against Jeff Tuvey, and I said, I'm going to rev him. I pitched him on the backside, give him a nudge. What are you doing? Hey. Because I wanted to rattle it up. And I wanted to make sure as captain that they realised, for me too, that this is no normal game. Boys, this is... I'm different. We're all different now. So the music was going, I laughed, and I thought to myself, I'm already having the best day of my life. Win, lose or draw, this is gold. That's what it's all about. I was enjoying it. So when you're in that, when you're doing that stuff, you're in the right ideal performance state. And we carried it out on the field.
That's awesome.
When you went out, and it's, famous pictures of you, being super aggressive at the start of the game, a couple of big tackles, you and Sputter into it again. What was your mindset when the ball kicks off? Like, what are you saying? Are you, I'm the leader of this team, I'm chief, I'm going to make sure that physically I'm showing them that we're here to play.
No, look, what went on with Manly, as I said, we lost 13 times before.
They were looking to go back to back as well.
Correct.
They had their outside backs were wonderful, so they often dominated us on the outside as well. They were really, really strong, and again from the start, we had to make sure that all the younger backs realised that this is not the normal boys. We're not. There's no one's running roughshod over us. We had to start early to make sure to say this is different this time.
Yeah,
I know they've beaten us so many times before, but this is different. So that was a part of that. And look, it panned out that it did happen the normal way. They, their outside backs, they dominated and they scored a few tries and were well behind us, being normal. But the difference was there was just that deep, I've never experienced before, belief that it's all okay. Just. You don't react to the tries. We just,
stick to the process and keep going.
1,000 victories in the victory. Just keep going and going and going and going. But lasting memories is that final whistle. Having that belief all the way through. The scenes in the bus when we left. Looking at each other, going, "We've done this thing," and then seeing the crowds going, following us all the way from Sydney to Newcastle. Then getting to Newcastle and my eyes couldn't believe what the scenes we were seeing. It was incredible. Next minute, Joey's up on the cop car, surfing on the way from Wall's End. There's people everywhere, and the rest is all history. It was wonderful. And what's funny? I always say our army, our red and blue army, is ready to be activated at any time. It just needs the boys to do your bit, and they're there. And I looked at the last 2 or 3 weeks, and I go, look at this army's ready to go. They just need igniting. It's just we're waiting to go. All that great stuff is there. You just got to dig it out and find it amongst yourself. And it's really good to see you boys playing for keeps at the moment.
Well, what's that like at the moment, Chief? Being as a legend of the club, looking back, and when the club's going well, what does that feel like?
No, it feels wonderful. It feels like that. When you guys are performing well, because now I get to understand the difference that it makes. I feel a weight, when we're not doing well, and I see all the supporters. Like I've been to many funerals. I've been to weddings and parties where they're draped in the nights here when they pass away at weddings. It means so much to people. I didn't realise it when I was playing. But the effect it has on everyone's life and feeling that little bit better, there's a lot of people hurting, lots of people suffering, and on that moment in time, they're happy. And you have a real ability to make, on a mass scale, on a large scale, lots of people happy. And the whole organisation, everyone involved with the Knights and doing the little job they do to help everyone do what they've got to do so you guys can get out there and look and win. But there's more than winning.
Yeah.
I can cop any day of the week a loss under the right circumstances and proud as punch.
I remember I think the best thing I've ever heard, come from Joey one day, and he said Newcastle walks a bit taller when the Knights win. And it's so true that the way what us boys do on the weekend, all the lead up the week, everything that goes on, and then what we have to do for that 80 or 90 minutes can impact the way a whole city feels for the next 7 days. I find that just sort of powerful and interesting. It's so
So you put it,
and like you said, it's a privilege. You shouldn't be daunted by that experience. You should be excited that you get to make 1,000 people.
I'll give you a tip. That's the way that you get out of the expectation and nervousness and all those things that may it's a big game, a lot of pressure, right? You can get a free pass from that by putting it on and saying, forget myself. I'm forgetting myself. I'm playing beyond myself. It's beyond me. Yeah. So all the inhibitions, all the things that bother me, it's not about me. I'm gone. I'm doing it for this reason. And that's on a mass scale. That's what a grand final is.
Yeah.
I'm not. So we didn't worry about nerves. Yeah. We didn't care about that because it was for a greater reason. And that's what Old Boys Day. Well, that's a little bit like that.
Yeah, it is. It is too. It is,
in the sense
mate.
where you go, look, what do I want? Well, I never got the privilege to play in front of the older guys because I was, we started, so we didn't get it. I wish I did. I really did. But I would love to go, you know what? I'm playing today and there's all the boys that done it before us. I want to say, number one, is that I recognise you and acknowledge, that's great. But I want to say thanks in my own way. Yeah. And the way I say thanks for everything that you guys have done in the club and that respect is that, mate, not today. No one's getting over us today.
Yeah.
Maybe another time, but not today.
Yeah.
So under any circumstances, we're like an immovable rock. We can't be moved. And for everyone to watch that is a beautiful thing. So when you do it with a grand final, which you'll get to, that happiness that you're saying that they get on a weekend, we can times that by 1 million, and we all get to drink in that nectar, and it goes quick, because the season starts again.
Yeah,
but it's so high, you just go, let's do that again. I don't care how many years it takes, let's get there because you're sharing it with everyone, right?
Yeah. Did you have that mindset when you were playing, Chief, that you could influence the way a whole town feels?
We knew it. Yeah, we knew it. Yeah. We knew it. I didn't appreciate it fully, as I said before, how much. Yeah. Of course, we knew it, and particularly in '97, we knew it. And it's so important. I think you'll find that all the great athletes and great teams really have a clear understanding about that because it's a very powerful thing to tap into.
It's incredibly.
When you go beyond yourself, you go to new heights. That's good.
Hey, Chief, talking about, you were just mentioning about Old Boys Day and mentioned about the run the current team are on at the moment. What are some more of your thoughts on that? Like it's, there's 7 in a row, the boys are playing great. And under that, Matt's a part of our forward pack and that would obviously be close to your heart as well. What are some of your thoughts on the current sort of streak the boys are on?
Yeah, no, it's wonderful, the consistency and the being able to control the game at certain times, just lock it down and go, okay, let's churn it out and burn it out. And I feel like there's a belief there that whatever's happening at the front of the game, we don't bother too much. I just know that at the back we're going to be there and we're going to be right. Just keep believing. But look, there's individual players that are playing great. I see some great combinations and all the rest of it. But I always go to a deeper level. It's not so much physically what you're doing. I can see and feel there's a tighter resonance. I don't know what it is that you've done, but there's something much more collective and tighter, and the crowd's feeling. That's because you're getting sellouts. People, you feel it.
Yeah.
So, the next couple of games for the boys, I don't know what's going to happen and the winning and the losing, but I just know that whoever's coming, they're going to have to work awful hard to get through you now. You're playing for keeps.
Yeah. I think I can elaborate on that. The mindset of how close we are is, you touched on it before very early in the podcast, that when you go through tough times together and you see the blokes at tough times, the good times are even better, because last year we went through some really dark moments where the season wasn't good and we let a lot of people down, and we all went through that together, and now it's the chance to turn that around. And I think maybe that's why we're so close, and I think maybe that's why the fans are keep turning up as they always do, is because they can feel it as well. So it's a very, very special thing.
My goodness. Hallelujah, eh?
Yeah, 100%. Well, I think that might be us.
Yeah.
Mate,
Look,
is there anything else you wanted to ask, Chief?
No, I've got all my questions out. I was pretty nervous at the start, to be honest.
So was
Chief.
I, man.
But I told these two boys, once you walk away from talking to you, you always feel a bit better. So,
well, mate, thank you, and likewise. It's always really nice to reminisce, and for me and many other of the boys who played here, it's like as you get older, your life goes in compartments and like little thought bubbles.
Yeah.
But when it comes to the nights back in the day where everyone before me had to leave home, leave their bed at home and go to Sydney to play, I was the very first that could sleep at home and with mum and dad. I was living at home with mum and dad, and I could play in the big time. And from that point on till I retired, I look at it as just one big, beautiful thought bubble. It's just so nice. I love everything about it, and it was really good to open it up a bit.
Well, mate, we could have sat here and spoke for hours. You know, we could have spoken about all your Knights games, all your Origins, all your Australian games, and you know what your life is now. But we had to compact that into a short little podcast, and I cannot thank you enough, mate, from the bottom of my heart and all the listeners. They'll really enjoy this, and I can't wait to see you this Sunday and have a beer together after we get the win, mate, hopefully.
To echo Croaks, your time is invaluable here, and to give us an hour to talk and go through that stuff is great. Me and Croaks constantly talk about that. You're our rugby league hero, so to have you on the podcast is a real treat, mate. So
made my day. Thank you, boys. Much appreciated.
All right, guys. Well, you can subscribe or leave a review on Apple, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcast. We're also on YouTube, so if you want to watch full video versions of these podcasts, jump on our YouTube channel, and if you hit the subscribe button, you'll know when new episodes have dropped. There's plenty going around the Knights at the moment. The boys are on a really good run, so if you want to keep up with what's going on, our club website or our social media channels, and they are at NRL Knights. We'd also like to thank our sponsor, Maxwell Recruitment and Training, for bringing you this episode of the podcast. Once again, Chief, mate, we can't thank you enough. Thank you for coming on.
Pleasure. Thank you.
We'll see you on the next one.
Thanks, JJ.